All right, so now we're going to move on to the um, the stream. And again, we think about the stuff that we talked about with watercolor. If it's shallow, it's going to have some color from the bottom. The sediment that's going to be in there. If it's deeper, it might have other items floating in it, some sediment and some algae, other things that might make it kind of a brownish greenish. If you think about our beloved Lake Michigan, it tends to have a brownish greenish color because of the sediment that's in there, and then also the algae that grows in it. Um, and it's reflective as well, so sometimes it reflects the blue of the sky and the waves as it kind of ripples or is more active, has white to it. So if I start off my stream with, I'm going to use both of the browns that are in here and get some of that sediment, and I'm using this, picking up both of them, and I'm just blending it right on the cardboard again. Some of you might prefer to do this blending on a plate, and I've switched to that half-inch flat for this. And again, some irregularities with how I'm laying down the paint would easily be interpreted as rocks or other things that might be in a stream, some kind of debris. And I'm using my flat so that I can get some decent edges here. And much like what we talked about with the watercolor, the banks can be a little bit darker, so I've got some of the dark brown and a little bit of black that's mixed together. And while, again, this is still wet, I'm adding a little horizontal stroke, and then I'm pulling it down a little bit, and I'm sort of imagining it, that this stream maybe has been flowing here for a while, and that it's cut down through the bank a little bit. And the streaks they're okay, because again, there's different colored sediment in there. I'm going to just get this dark over here as well, because it tends to be a little bit darker in some of the shallow areas. Making that a little bit darker. Making sort of this teepee like roof shape here. And I'm going to grab something a little bit lighter. Oh, that's too much light. I'm going to make a little rock here. It's a happy little rock. And while I've got some of that, I'm going to use this again horizontally, because water is always going to flow sort of horizontally. Oops, it's a little too much paint. Make some streaks here, sideways, where I'm imagining the water is rippling over, and I'm just touching and making little flicks. And those are a little bright, and if I think that there might be some sky that's reflecting, it's always going to be a small amount of sky, particularly in something this shallow. There might be little bits of blue here where the light is just dancing off little parts of the water. And I don't like how I did that. I think that is just, the glare is on there. That's just too much white. I don't like that. So, it's acrylic. Yay! We can just paint over it. So I'm grabbing a little bit more of that burnt sienna and some of that umber and black mixture. This is still wet and I'm impatient, so I'm going to blot that a little bit with my rag, my painting rag, to get some of the wet off. And I just think that was just too much sparkling water. And that's a little bit duller. I think that works. Oops, glare again from the light. That works a little bit better. It's a little bit more grayer. It doesn't stand out quite as much. I could even blend that while it's still wet so that those little ripples are not as noticeable. Maybe put in a little rock here that all that water is moving around. Give it a reason. And it's duller. And that works a little bit better for me. So go ahead and try putting in your stream. And then meet me back here and we'll do the tree canopy. That'll be the next thing in order.